On this episode of TFL Talking Trucks podcast, back by popular demand, we've got the 3 heavy-duty trucks.
Should we call this a field trip, Andre? Because we're out of the studio.
And we're in the field.
And we are literally in a field. But instead, because last time we had a bunch of full-size trucks,
Yes.
now we've got HDs.
Yes, so we did a video recently that had to do with our 2026 Truck of the Year competition,
Yep.
where we had Toyota Tundra, we had the Chevy Silverado 1500, actually GMC Sierra.
Yeah.
We had the Ford F-150 and we had the Ram 1500. But now we have the big 3 heavy-duty big boys and also a little bit more affordable trim levels. And I really wanted to, once again, go over each truck and compare specs and features.
That's true. This is not part of a larger testing video series where all of these are going on the Ike and doing MPG and everything else that we did with the full-size trucks, because that was the main focus for this year. So maybe we can talk all the manufacturers into doing a big HD head-to-head for next year.
And maybe a dually one too.
But in this
big
podcast,
dualies, yes.
we can do a little bit of a buyer's guide, especially if you're shopping around for a more affordable heavy-duty truck.
Exactly, because we listen to you, believe it or not. You know, you think we don't listen to...
Well, we try to. There's too many voices to please everyone.
I know, but a lot of the common thread, right? The common thread in the comments is, I want to see a more affordable truck. I want to see what's available. So we kind of have that covered in this episode of the podcast. And actually, it could be a podcast that's a little bit better in video form, so you can kind of see a little bit more of what we're talking about, but you can also listen to it and check it out.
And we'll be explaining as much as possible everything that we're looking at on these individual trucks. But I agree, in video form, you can actually see what they look like, see some of the interior materials and options that are there and aren't there. So that'll be maybe even more informative.
So this episode is all about the 2500s, also known as 3/4 tons, right? Basically, that's kind of an old term, 3/4 ton, relating to kind of the capacity of the truck. Even though we're way past 3/4 ton measurements, we'll go over payload. And I want to start here with this new 2026 Ram 2500, but it's a new Warlock trim level.
Yeah, which means it's also slightly more affordable. You can probably tell, especially if you're watching from the front end, because this is all blacked out. So it's not a body color bumper, it's not a body color grille, but it doesn't look bad on this truck.
No, and it looks kind of tough. Unfortunately, in the current day and age, it's really hard to find a colorful exterior, right? There's a lot of grays and whites and kind of dark colors. There's not very few like red and blue and green and some of the brighter colors. So this one is in the silver color.
Yeah, the color doesn't stand out a lot, but what does stand out to me are these Goodyear Wrangler Duratracs the truck is fitted with. Very aggressive tire.
Yeah, it's basically about the same as a Rebel. So they introduced a heavy-duty Rebel several years back. They also have, of course, the Power Wagon in their lineup of Ram heavy-duty trucks. But this is a 20-inch wheel. And I think, Kase, you and I agree that when we see like an off-road trim like this Warlock we're looking at, we want to see slightly smaller wheel and bigger tire.
I think an 18 would be maybe my ideal, although to their credit, because this is a slightly bigger wheel, it makes this look like a less basic truck. So even though the front end is blacked out, because it's got a slightly bigger wheel, still a decent amount of sidewall and a knobby tire, it almost makes everything look more intentional, because you've also got black cladding on the outside of the truck around the fenders that similarly make it look a little bit more rugged. So I think it helps play off that front end that's not body color. Yeah,
and it's really easy to get into a heavy-duty truck, or actually check one out that's like $80,000 or $90,000. Some of them are $100,000.
Yeah.
So it's kind of refreshing. We'll mention the price a little bit in a few minutes, but it's kind of refreshing when you see a truck that's four-wheel drive, that's got 4 doors. It's a full crew cab, right? And it's also, these are equipped with gasoline engines. But before we look at the engines, should we compare kind of beds and payloads?
Yeah, it's something that's worth talking about. Andre has his tape measure, so
I don't have a ladder.
We can
today.
No. Yeah, so on our last test, we were seeing if ladders fit in the beds of some of the full-size trucks. They should fit in pretty much all of these beds.
Yeah.
So we're just going to use the measuring tape to look at exactly what we're dealing with here.
6'4", just like the spec sheet says, basically on the floor of this bed. And all of these trucks, of course, are wide enough to accommodate at least 4-foot wide piece of material.
Yeah.
So there's no issues there. But we're looking at this a little bit more of a base truck. This Warlock is based on a Tradesman, and this bed is not lined.
No, it's not lined, but we have quite a few tie downs, 2 in each corner for a total of 8, which is cool. Some of them are a cleat style, like a marine style cleat that you would tie off on.
There's another one here.
And others are closed loops. There's also 400 watts of power in the bed, which is not bad.
Yeah, that's a nice little surprise in this more basic truck. That's what I want to see more of. They talk about like fancy trucks, like Laramie Longhorn.
Yeah.
Check out my outlet. But actually, the work trucks need that more.
I agree.
Right?
And I like the way that this truck is spec'd. Other than the color, I agree. It could be a more interesting color. But something that I do think is a nice feature are the mirrors that are on this truck, which is one of your favorite mirrors in any of these 3.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And even on this more simple truck, it's got a convex lower, they're heated, right? They've got a little light on the front of it for visibility. And I think there's a tiny little light on the bottom of it as well. So a lot of features actually included in this more of a basic truck. Before we look at the engine, let's look at the payload really briefly, and we need to compare, because that's a big deal, right? That's what you're buying a heavy-duty truck for.
Absolutely. If you're stepping in to an HD, that's going to be an important figure. I'm a little too far away from the sticker to read it.
Okay, and I don't have my glasses.
95.
Here, I'll get in close. We're looking at 3,095 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Get in close. Inspect it. Oh, you got to get further away?
Further away.
Okay.
I'm nearsightedness.
Like holding the menu out?
Okay. You know what? Yes, like holding a menu away from my face. That's a little surprising, because I was expecting a slightly higher payload on this guy, because it doesn't have the Cummins, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And usually the diesel engine comes with lots of torque, lots of horsepower, exhaust brake, but this one, you want to pop the hood?
Yeah, well, we got to pop the hood on.
It's in the middle there. But this one being a gas V8, I expected a little bit more than 3,100. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair. But let's pop the hood.
Interesting.
And oh my God, it's buried way down there.
Where is it?
Way down there.
Oh, it's a baby Hemi. No, actually, it's not a baby.
6.4 Hemi, the same one they used to power Noah's Ark.
Yes. And actually, you know what? I think that's a strong point of this truck, because this engine has been around. Yes, it does have MDS, multi-displacement system, which is shutting off some of the cylinders, 4 cylinders, while it's running under light conditions. And a lot of people don't like that, but it's a known quantity. Yeah, it's been around.
That's true, and it's not as high strung as the 6.4 Hemi and some other performance vehicles. So this one's 405 horsepower, which is right in line with at least the base engines on the other trucks that we're going to be looking at.
Yes. And something interesting happened for 2025 and 2026. We're looking at the 2026 model right here. Remember, their 6.4 Hemi was 410 horsepower initially in the previous iteration of it. And I believe what happened was they had to recertify it for the latest emissions control systems. So the engine didn't change, I think, any. It's just that the power rating just went down just one notch, and it has 429 pound-feet of torque, which is decent.
It's not bad. This is the only truck of the 3 that has an 8-speed, though. The other 2 are 10 speeds.
Yes, but this is a ZF-sourced transmission, which, as we have talked about previously, is a very reputable transmission.
Yeah, we went all the way to Germany to learn about that transmission, and it seems like a well-engineered unit, so it's definitely got potential to be a good transmission. There are a few less ratios than the other 2.
And it's very easy to know. I can't believe I have to get on my tippy toes. Ooh, I just burned my finger. Dude, I just touched the radiator.
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy to know what engine this is, because it's kind of well dressed, right?
If you're tall enough to get your head in there and read it, yeah.
You know for sure.
There's a lot of extra space in this engine bay. Look at the size of the fan shroud, Andre.
Holy, it's like a jet engine.
It's 2 feet long.
Also, I wanted to point out, and hey, Cole, our producer, videographer, Cole, if you can look through here,
Yeah.
there's about, I don't know if you could see my hand, there's about 2 feet
Space for a winch.
space for a giant winch in here, inside the bumper. And we have to thank a couple of friends in order to make this video possible. First, I would like to thank Johnson Auto Plaza. They allowed us, to borrow this truck for just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and to be able to film it, which is pretty cool because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do this podcast at all.
And also, I want to thank you guys, the viewers and listeners, and Patreon supporters, right?
Yes.
Because we have a lot of you, and you can get some special perks.
But we could always have more.
And this show is not live on Patreon, but because we're in the middle of a field.
Yeah, our ranch is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So
Even though we have Starlink, some people commented and said, what about Starlink?
it's not that good.
It's not that great.
We're not going to time our podcast with the satellites, require an amount of planning we're not capable of.
So Cole, do you want to jump in the back seat? And we can kind of check it out.
We can look at the interior on this truck. That is, because like we talked about, this is a more basic truck. This interior is not going to have as many features. So definitely the materials are a lot more basic, a lot of hard plastics.
Yeah, and I think that's a common theme that we will see today because once again, like we said, these trucks are a bit more simple. And as such, the interior materials are going to be basic.
How's your steering wheel?
Nice.
Sticky?
But you know what? So it's got height adjustment, tilt adjustment, but there's no telescoping. And I think this is partially because this cab structure is as old as me, maybe. No, actually, I'm
Not quite. Yeah.
not quite.
But that's
it's
true.
It's quite aged, I would say.
This cab has been around for a long time. It's the same basic structure since the 4th gen.
Basically, yes. So this is 4 3/4 gen.
Yeah. People called the last update of these trucks 4.5 gen.
Yes.
We like calling this a 4 3/4.
So let me start the engine.
Andre, I see something wonderful. Column shift.
Yes. So for let me close the window briefly because it was a little windy. For 2025, they went to all column shifts because they had some choices. Sometimes you had the knob shifter for the transmission.
Which
sometimes
no
you
one
had the
really
column.
likes, yeah.
And so I think they simplified it, and it's pretty nice. And they went just to a column shift. And also we have a giant screen in this basic truck.
Yeah, I gotta say, for what this is, were you jamming
No,
tunes?
this was Zach, our producer Zach.
How dare he? Well, yeah, we've got Uconnect and a very tall screen. That being said, the climate controls are still physical buttons on either side of the screen, which is nice. We've got a few more buttons along the bottom of the screen for tow haul mode, traction control, parking sensors, and then Andre, the most important.
Super easy to reach trailer brake controller. And of course, dude, heavy duty trucks are synonymous with towing. So we got to talk a little bit about tow rating. And remember, actually, this is not a given.
Yeah.
Our friend Alex bought, what was it, a 2022 Ram 2500?
Yeah, pretty
and
basic.
His truck didn't have a brake controller.
Which is crazy to me in an HD truck.
Yeah, so that you have to make sure you spec the brake controller, but it comes in this one.
Yeah, there's also quite a bit of power in here, a few USB-C and USB-A ports, as well as a 400 watt plug on the other side of the
That's a nice positioning for that. That's
It
a
is.
good one.
And you'll notice the console here, well, if you're watching, you'll notice the console is different because this truck is a 6-seat configuration.
Yes. So it's very typical and more of a work truck. And in a pinch, I mean, a very big person, with long legs wouldn't be able to sit in the middle here very
It wouldn't be
easily.
great.
But in a pinch, you can bring another person.
It's better than walking.
I think it beats walking for sure. And we looked up tow ratings on all these trucks. That's very important, but also they're super close because it's so competitive, right?
It is.
But this was like 17.7, right?
Yeah, as much as maybe 17,750 for this truck.
So we got to mention this because we've been towing in the mountains of Colorado over the last, 12, 13 years at TFL truck. And if I put 17,700 pounds behind this gas V8, I don't know if I would enjoy that in the mountains.
I wouldn't want to do the Ike.
Yes, it would be a slow Ike, and I think we've done a couple of Ikes. So you could look up Hemi Ram heavy duty Ike gauntlets.
Yeah.
And there's some tough, slow, very slow Ike gauntlets.
Yeah. Yeah, this would not be the truck for maintaining 60 miles an hour at 17,000 pounds or more.
So if you are pulling that much, or if you want to go up to those limits, I would recommend a diesel.
Yeah.
A Cummins would eat up that trailer for lunch.
An expensive upgrade, but could be worthwhile. What about 10 grand?
Actually, it's moving up.
12?
So it was 12, then it's 13. So I think it's about $13,000 because remember they switched to high output Cummins engines in all of these trucks.
Outputs.
So they're all high outputs, which means you pay high money for all those diesel engines. And $13,000, dude, you could buy a nice little used midsize truck for that much money.
That's true.
That's a lot of money.
It is. It's a ton of money, but depending on how you're going to use the truck, it could be worthwhile, especially in the long run. If it gives you fuel savings, then it might make enough of a difference. Do you want to try out the back seat?
Yes. Before I do, though, I'll jump next to Cole in a second. I wanted to talk about a little bit more about technology because Ram is doing something interesting. They started this in 2025. They're including a pretty advanced driver assistance technology package on every truck. This includes adaptive cruise control.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a premium feature, but it's available basically in their entire lineup of vehicles.
And a genuinely nice feature to have on a road trip, a cruise control system that you don't have to be constantly adjusting.
Dude, no button.
Don't tell me.
There are no buttons on the back of the steering wheel.
That's
I'm sorry,
tough. Because I use those buttons more than anything.
So, you know, those
I'll get over it.
preset radio controls and also volume controls, right? We really like that. This does have a gear selector on the steering wheel too, so if you want to downshift yourself, you could. Let me grab the camera really quick. In case, remember, I love this. The mirror controls.
Yeah.
Are very nice. All in the same button. You could power fold them. Right there. You could extend them. And you can control all the lights all in one place.
Yeah, so
That's
they're
really
really
sweet.
good mirror controls and just good mirrors in general.
Do you want to mention the price while I'm transferring? Let me transfer to the back seat.
So this particular truck's sticker is just below $60,000, $59,900, with some of our local incentives, like what you could get at Johnson Auto Plaza, $57,400 roundabout. So couple grand off, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's going to vary depending on where you live and what dealer is nearby.
Totally. I apologize for the engine. Do you want to kill the engine for a second?
Let's do it.
There it is. That Hemi is got a
makes some noise.
Nice little rumble.
At this point, that Hemi might be as loud or louder than the Cummins. Don't you think?
Yes, they quieted down the diesel engine so much.
I don't know how that's possible.
Well, they keep refining it, right? They talked about, you know, the gear drive inside of the Cummins accessory drive.
It's impressive.
You know, how that's designed. So I wanted to comment on the back seat of this. It's okay, but there's a hump here on the floor. So there's a transmission hump. I do have vents, so that's quite nice. Vents right here. But this is just enough. This is not as big of a cab per se. Even though the door is big and nice opening door, the legroom in the back seat is not humongous.
Yeah, and it's pretty basic because this is a basic truck, so there's not tons of features. Like you said, the climate vents are pretty nice to have. And there's some storage under the seat.
Yeah, let me show you. And also, you mentioned the mega cab still exists.
Yeah, so if you want to maximize space in the cab, especially if you're a hot shotter, you're going cross country, and you want a good place to nap in the back seat, mega cabs are an option.
This is one way, maybe it's a little bit more basic. Once you flip up the seat, the entire seat comes up.
Yep.
Some of other versions have a split where you could, raise one side or the other, but this one kind of doesn't have the center armrest in the back, and also the entire cushion seat bottom actually flips up because it's a little bit more basic.
And it's all cloth, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so materials let you know right out of the gate that it's a more basic work truck.
So just under 58 grand for this Warlock.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the Ford. Let's check it out.
Yeah, and this particular model is an STX. Should we call it Sticks, like the band?
It is Sticks.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this because they're, of course, known for the XL and XLT. Those names have been around consistently for decades. But STX is actually a name that used to use, I want to say 20 or 30 years ago, and then it kind of went away for a little while, and now it's back in a big way. Basically what it is, it's kind of a work truck dressed up a little bit, right?
Sure.
So do you want to talk about the front just briefly?
Well, I'll tell you this much, Andre. It's tall, as they all are.
I think
That's not
all
unique
these trucks
to the
are
Ford.
tall.
This is definitely the most street-oriented truck of the three. It's not as aggressive
But
as
it's
some
an
of the others.
FX4, dude. That's what I don't get.
Yeah, but look at the chin, Andre.
So if you're
got a
not watching this, this has what we affectionately call the snowplow, right? So these chins are like 7 or 8 inches, but this is
Lower
here.
than the bottom of the bumper.
Yeah, lower
How
below
far
the
off
bumper.
the ground is the lowest point in the middle?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
This is not scientific case because we're on dirt.
Yeah.
But that's about 11 inches to, yeah, it's about 11 inches off the ground. But this is for fuel efficiency.
Yeah.
So, and you can take it off if you really hate it.
Fuel efficiency in a gas heavy-duty truck?
Well, yeah,
I don't know what those words mean.
Well, but think about it. Like if you have a business, every penny you can pinch,
Yep.
on fuel savings, I think is a useful thing.
Yeah, so this is not so much of an off-road trim. All of these trucks have running boards, the Ford included. So, none of them are rock crawlers. They
Yeah, but because this is a slightly dressed up work truck, it's got a body colored front bumper, quite nice. These headlamps are humongous as well.
Yeah.
These are massive headlamps.
As always, the grille is blacked out, so that's still a slightly more basic finish.
Exactly. And also, we have to thank our friends at Brighton Ford, Colorado. They also allowed us to borrow this truck for just a little while for filming, so really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, likewise, they help make this podcast possible. Also, if you're ever around the area and you stop by Brighton Ford, you can see one of my favorite vehicles we've ever owned, which is our 1915 Model T that Tommy and I made a bunch of videos with, lives in their showroom.
Yeah, exactly. So actually we purchased a couple of vehicles from them, and they purchased a couple of vehicles from us.
Yeah, I don't know if they still have our Mustang, but for a while it looked like a regular old museum of some of our Fords we used to have. I think they still have our Model A, too.
Yes, and I haven't seen our Mustang. They also had our 67, right?
Yeah. Now let's check out the bed on this Ford, because what we'll find is that you are going to have a bigger bed here longer.
Yes.
Oh, no,
Excuse me.
sneezing in a podcast, that's the worst case scenario.
No, I just sneezed on this measuring tape. I don't want to give it.
Yeah, I'll let you take over.
So once again, this more basic truck, this bed is not lined.
Yep.
But in 2017, Ford redid, look, so that's
6'10".
6'10". Almost, here's 7 feet, and this is 82 inches. So this is,
6 inches longer.
yeah. So,
And longer is better.
well, that's what they said.
That's what they say.
Because, and speaking seriously, when you buy a truck like this, a lot of the times you are also carrying a gooseneck trailer or a fifth wheel. If you're carrying a fifth wheel, and you could see there's bolts right here in the bed of the Ford where you can mount like a fifth wheel attachment and equip this truck. You need to be able to turn the giant trailer, and the longer bed helps with that tremendously.
That's true, so that makes it useful. Plus a bigger bed is just generally useful. Though the footprint of the Ram, it's maybe a slightly easier truck to maneuver in and out of parking spaces. So obviously, as always, it's going to depend on your use case. The particular bed on the Ford F-250 we're looking at right now has only 4 tie downs, so half as many
Unacceptable.
as in the Ram. And it doesn't have power, although you can get significant power outlets.
But it has a light.
Yeah, that's true. It does have a light, which is nice, but it is available for you to get some pretty significant power output in the bed of an F-250.
And also, it has a place to mount more cleats,
Yeah.
right?
So all of those things are possible. They do have the little measuring strip at the end of the tailgate.
Ah, nice. So when you
Which is always
catch that
useful.
big salmon, that big trout, you'll be able to measure it here.
Right.
So
I never do, though. All the trout I catch are,
tiny.
yeah, Boulder Creek, man.
So I want to talk a little bit about the hitches as well.
Yeah.
So let's close this up.
Should we talk about the hitches toward the end and we can compare them all?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
And maintain what we've been doing.
Yeah, so let's go onto the hood.
Hold on one sec. Halt.
Freeze. Sneezing again.
I have a sneezing fit.
Are you allergic to this truck?
I could be.
I hope not.
We mentioned that this truck is not really off-road worthy, but it is a special FX4 off-road package, which gives it a slightly tougher tire, but it's not as big of a tire as you would find on that Warlock.
No, and definitely not as aggressive. It's a Bridgestone Dueler AT. It's definitely an all-terrain. It's not nearly as knobby as the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack.
Yes, and while you're opening the door, can you also tell me about the payload?
I sure can. So this truck, 3,431 pounds.
So about
330
350 pounds more or so, more than the Ram. This body is aluminum too.
Yeah, which helps.
Which helps probably with that weight savings. And also, like you said, the Ram is going to be a little bit more maneuverable because the wheelbase is shorter. This is a slightly longer wheelbase, like the Chevy Silverado we're going to look at.
Which would make it slightly more stable pulling a trailer.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
We can pop the hood on the Ford as well. This is once again going to be a slightly empty looking engine bay. So buried way deep down in there is an engine that we haven't gotten to test as much as we would like to, because a lot of the trucks that are sent to us from the manufacturers are pretty spec'd out so they can demo all of the different features you can get in the trucks. That's why we had to go to some of our local dealers to find these ones. This is a 6.8.
Yeah, and this is a little puzzling. And by the way, can you point to that sticker above your head inside the hood?
Yeah, so...
It says right there on the left, 6.8.
True. Yeah, bottom left corner of the sticker, it confirms this is a 6.8, so not the 7.3 that we owned for a while.
Exactly, and that's... so, like, let's say you were looking at this truck several years down the road and you're not sure exactly what engine this is. That sticker will help you always. You can identify that engine and you know how powerful it would be. The rating on this one, and I'm using my cheat sheet here, just briefly, 405 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. But this 6.8 engine came a little bit after that 7.3 Godzilla that we all tested and loved.
Yep.
That still exists. You can get it for a little bit more money. That's power rating on that gas engine is 430 horsepower and 485 pound-feet of torque. So 40 pounds more of torque and 25 horsepower more in that other gas engine.
So the 7.3 is the most powerful and the most torquey V8, gas V8 that you can get in any of these three trucks. So if you want the most, then a 7.3 is going to be your best option.
Exactly. And if you want to save a little bit more cash when buying a truck, this is a little bit more of a value-minded engine. But with that, I'm not 100% sure, what they change. Obviously, the displacement is a little bit different, but I don't know what other things they maybe saved on. Although the transmission in this truck behind this 6.8 is rated for a little bit lower power. It's not the same transmission as is behind their diesel engines and behind some of their 7.3s.
Yeah, so there are definitely some compromises made. That being said, even this base 6.8 is still a bigger displacement engine than what you can get as gasser options for the Ram or for the Chevy.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump inside and check out the interior.
Yeah, let's see the features. Obviously, there are ways that you can spec these trucks very differently or to be very similar. The Ram and the Ford are at a pretty comparable price point, though.
Yeah, and we'll talk about pricing in a second. I've got our price sheet here. So let me move my water.
This is a big difference. So the screen in the center of the Ford
is small.
Is very small. It's a little bit larger than the screen on my iPhone.
Yes. But that, you know what? That doesn't...
No, it's not the end of the world.
Bother me
in a
too
pickup
much.
truck. Yeah.
But look at this case. Have you realized what we have here?
You've got a blade style key that you actually have to put into the dash, turn it like it's the 90s. Like in my second gen.
Well, I guess, I mean, of course they have push button start in some of the other more higher level trim levels.
For sure, yeah.
But this V8 wakes up. It's pretty nice, actually. Sounds good.
Yeah, and likewise, we've got very basic materials on the dash, on the steering wheel. How would you say this more basic steering wheel compares to the Ram?
It's more basic. So the Ram felt a little bit softer.
Yeah.
This is just pure plastic. If Roman was here, I think he would have walked out of this video.
Straight out of the injection mold.
Yes, you can even see some of the molding.
You can see the seam.
Yeah, you can see the seams. I'm not turned off by that as much. It still has the indentations for your thumbs. And this has cruise control, but not adaptive. So that's kind of how Ford kind of it does their trim levels.
You do have a rear locker though, which I'm pretty happy
really
about.
Sweet. Yeah, and I think that basically that comes with that FX4 package, which is quite nice. You have a drive mode selector as well. So I almost feel like, hey, this is a premium truck. I mean, I can select normal, slippery road, off-road modes, and also eco mode and tow haul modes as well.
You've also got a trailer brake controller integrated into this dash and
Yes.
a column shifter as well.
Yeah, and this one has a manual select as well. In the Ram, they did it on the steering wheel, so different implementations of that. And I believe this also has like a hill descent control feature right here on the top of the dash as well.
It's also physical climate controls and quite a bit of power you can tap into up front. There's one USB-C, one USB-A in the dash, two 12 volts, and another 400 watt plug.
Like a wall outlet, household outlet there.
Yeah, so there is a lot of power up front here, accessible from the driver's seat, the passenger seat.
And I love that placement once again for those power outlets. It's right by the passenger. So if the passenger, is using a laptop or doing some work or doing, whatever, maybe watching a movie, they have that.
We've also got auxiliary switches up top, which is nice if you're setting up any accessories, any work lights, off-road lights, or anything along those lines. Auxiliary switches that you could hook up to be essentially whatever you want. And this truck, like the Ram, is also a 6-seater.
Yes, so you have that seat. There's a little bit of storage below it. It's really hard to see. We apologize. But yes, so in the pinch, there's also a transmission hump here in the front. So in the pinch, you can bring somebody, but probably not for a long journey.
None of these front, especially middle seats, are going to be super comfortable. But like you said, it's better than walking.
But I love this case. You mentioned the auxiliary switches. There are 6 of them here. You and I recently added some lights to our Ford Bronco that we own, and also the F-150 Tremor. And this was a breeze, right?
And it makes it really easy, yeah. So I like having those switches around. Ultimately, trucks being tools, it's not uncommon for you to hook up something that needs to be powered, and having a switch integrated that you don't have to drill into the dash is great.
And we looked up towing rating on this guy. It was a couple 100 pounds less than that Ram, right?
It was. They're still all pretty competitive within a few 100 pounds of each other.
So about 17.5 approximately, right?
Exactly.
There was 17.5. So if you do want to tow more, like we said, they also have, Ford offers 2 diesel engines.
Yeah.
Can we lower this again? There's a little button.
Yeah, so you can get a standard output power stroke, which is
plenty.
Yeah, it's a significant option. Or you could get the high output with 500 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, so you can get those. And those in the 250 or 2500 series trucks, across the board, they will pull about 20,000 max, maybe sometimes 21 or 22,000. So depending on the configuration and the suspension setup. So that's quite a lot of weight you could pull with some of these trucks.
It is, and they'll also do it much more effortlessly. So if you're planning to tow even 15,000 pounds frequently, Diesel's going to make a big difference.
But once again,
it's a lot of money.
that's between $12,000 and $13,000 you will have to pay, maybe even $13,500.
Yeah.
$1,000 you would have to pay for that diesel engine.
It's a big ticket item to add on.
So I would say across the board for all of these heavy duties, I would choose a gasoline engine if, I'm not making a lot of trips, long distance, like if I'm running around town, because the diesel engine takes a long time to warm up.
Yep.
And they need to come up to temperature to operate properly. And then also, like if I want to put a camper in the back of this truck or carry a heavier load, a gas truck would be better for that.
Yeah, especially because the payload is still great, so you can load them up with all kinds of gear or whatever it is that you're hauling around
Your
for
tools,
work.
maybe, yeah.
Anything like that. They're still very capable, but if you're towing well in excess of 10,000 pounds, especially through some unforgiving stretches of highway,
the diesel would be.
Oh, the diesel could literally be a lifesaver.
Let me check out the rear seat really quick. As we talk about pricing, here's your price sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. We got the little cheat sheet where we could talk about it. This truck's sticker price is $63,480, so it is more expensive than the Ram, but with incentives at Brighton Ford, comes down to $59,700. So still a little bit more expensive than the Ram, but quite a bit under MSRP.
So look at this case. So the door opening is actually, we measured it before this podcast. The door opening is maybe an inch shorter than the Ram, but the interior is larger. So I don't know how that works.
Yeah, you've definitely got more leg room.
Yes.
Your headroom is pretty comparable.
Pretty comparable. This is a completely flat floor. So if you want to load, I don't know, a big screen television in here from Costco or something, it's very easy to do. Also, we do have a rear glass. I forget to check if the Ram had it.
Yeah, but it's powered.
It's powered, the rear glass. Oh yeah, the Ram had it too.
Yeah.
And then also it's got a split, not a single folding bottom cushion in the rear, but a split one. So you could split it in 40-60.
Yeah, so there's some space under the seats, but not cubbies.
And look, we do have cup holders and some power outlets here, except we don't have any vents.
And
so no vents here.
That to me is a big downside, especially if you're a truck full of guys coming off of a job, hot day, you've been working hard, you get in the back of this truck and you've got very little airflow.
And then you're yelling, hey, can you turn up the AC and direct it back here?
Yeah. So that is a little unfortunate, but like you said, you've still got some amenities, you've got power, and you've got cup holders. So you could put a cold drink in there.
Yes, but I
think slushy.
I think this might be an artifact of having a 6-person, front bench seat.
Even though the Ram had it.
But the Ram had it, so it's possible to do this.
For sure.
But this Ford does not have that. All right, at the end of this video, we'll also pick our favorite, right?
Yeah, I think so. We might as well. Now, Andre, we got to talk about the elephant in the room with the Chevy that we're looking at.
Yeah, what's going on with this truck?
Well, what's going on with it is it's the truck that we own.
Yes.
So it's not quite as basic as the Ford and the Ram we're comparing
against. And it's also a diesel.
It is.
So we have broken our lineup.
It's still a 6.6 though.
Yes.
And it's still a V8.
Yes.
So
and
we could pretend.
And it's also a Trail Boss, which is kind of a mid-grade off-road package.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that Warlock, actually, that we saw on the Ram. So let's pretend for a minute, close your eyes, pretend that this is a gasoline-powered Chevy 2500.
Yes.
With a 6.6 gas, and it's not an LT. This is an LT based, which is a little bit nicer interior. Mm-hmm. So for just a minute, pretend. But you know what Chevy does? They paint their tow hooks for the Trail Boss.
That's true, the only one of the three.
Yeah.
So you can obviously get a much more basic Trail Boss than the one that we're looking at right here. And if you do go for the 6.6 gas engine, you'd have 401 horsepower. So it's a little bit less than the other two on horsepower. What about torque?
It's like 460.
So more than the Ram.
More than the Ram, and actually more than the base engine in the Ford.
Yeah, so not a bad number.
Yeah, let me get the exact number.
Yeah, we'll double check our figures. We just came off of doing all these full-size trucks, and that was a lot of numbers to remember.
And I think you and I still remember all of the half-ton numbers. 464.
Yeah.
So quite a bit more, like about 30 pound-feet more than the Hemi, and actually, 20 or so pound-feet more than the base gas engine in the Ford.
So it's still beaten by the 7.3 in the Ford, but it stacks up pretty well against the other two base engines.
And since, I think, 2024 model year, all gas Chevys have a 10-speed. They used the 6-speed before, prior to that, and then they switched over to what used to be Allison-branded transmission, and then their agreement is ending.
Yep.
So between General Motors and Allison Transmissions for their branding, so that's gone.
This Trail Boss also has a pretty aggressive BFG KO3.
You know what?
Nice.
That's a premium tire.
It's a great tire, and it's one that we've tested out in the snow. It performs very well. It's a good-looking tire. So yeah, KO3s are awesome.
But once again, this wheel is a 20-inch wheel.
It is.
So I don't know why manufacturers want us to roll down on these dubs.
It's also a very flush face of the wheel.
Yeah.
So if you were to take this already very wide truck on a trail, which we have done, and we've mostly done a pretty good job of keeping them off of the rocks, but these spokes kind of, they don't quite stick out, but they are, they're very exposed.
Yeah. It's a little bit different design from some of the Ram and some of the Ford wheels.
And of course, since this truck is all fancy-like, we do have a multi-pro tailgate.
Yes.
But the bed itself
is also lined.
Yeah, the bed is lined.
And it's also, we'll tell you how much we paid for this truck. It also has a fifth wheel and gooseneck package. This is 82. Dude, this is the longest bed.
Yeah, so pretty impressive. That's a lot of space.
82 right there. Almost 7 feet by 2 inches less than 7.
The other thing I love that GM does on a lot of their trucks is we have 3 tie downs in each corner.
Yep.
So that's pretty impressive. Total of 12.
Yeah, totally. And we also have this aftermarket tonneau cover, actually, which is can be a GM performance accessory.
Yeah.
So we have this tonneau cover. Like you said, we have a fancier gate. We have a handle here. We do have power outlets for the gooseneck prep package. So we do have a towing package in this truck.
And then we have a regular 400-watt power outlet on the other side of the bed as well for powering anything else.
Yeah, and I think in the Ford, optionally, you could get a 2,000-watt system in the Ford. And I think Ram offers now a similar system. But GM needs to step up.
Yeah.
GM needs to have more wattage in some of their outlets.
Because that amount of power is a really useful thing to have if you're on the job site and you need to power some equipment. Do you want to grab your...
It's stuck.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
no.
I lost my tape.
We'll leave it. It goes with the truck now.
I want to make a small joke before we go to the engine bay.
Just a small one?
And yes.
What do you got?
In 2020, GM brought this out, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they have a step in bumper, right? Pretty useful. And then in 2020, they said, you know what? We're doing a new chassis. We're doing a new body. So they added a step in the middle by the cab right there. So you could kind of, these trucks are very tall. You can reach in. But what did Ford do?
Well, they did the same damn thing.
Ford said, you know what? In 2023,
that's a nice step.
That's a nice step. So we'll offer a step that you could reach in, and we'll also offer a step in the back of the bumper. Very similar.
Yeah, you know, GM doesn't own the right to steps.
They should have patented that.
Patented the step. Yeah, I think it was invented even before the pickup truck, but it is a nice feature to have because, like you said, these trucks are very tall, even for you at 6'3".
Yeah, it's hard to reach in the
Can't
bed.
reach to the bottom of the bed. So these trucks are super tall. Having some assistance there is nice. We definitely can pop the hood on this.
Can you double check the payload really quick?
Yeah, and again, this is different from a gasser. Different engine, but it says 3,129 pounds.
So I think you can expect several hundred pounds more if that was a gas engine, right? So
likely, yeah.
GM might have the highest payload, actually.
It could, not in this configuration. Then if I could reach this
It says it
very
right here.
tall plaque, I would cover Duramax and just let it say 6.6. And then it'd be a little easier to use your imagination.
Yes. But this engine bay is more full because the diesel engine really takes more space.
Big footprint.
Because it has a turbocharger obviously on the top of it, and it has really big cooling stack ahead of it as well. So we already mentioned the power output, right?
Yeah.
For the gasser. And of course, this is a diesel engine. And for 2027 model year, we might see updates. We don't have exact dates or exact specifications yet, but we saw some trucks testing. Roman caught a video of some prototypes in the mountains of heavy-duty Chevrolet and GMC trucks. So we might see a power upgrade underneath the hood of this truck.
Which would be nice. Was it clear if it was a diesel or a gas?
Yes, there was mostly diesels that I was testing. So
Yeah.
maybe because Ford's high output diesel is 500 horse, big boy,
Yeah,
and this is a 470. So
it is. And the Cummins is 430.
yes,
But the biggest thing that a lot of people are shopping around for when they're looking at a diesel powertrain in an HD
It's
truck
torque.
is torque.
yeah.
The Cummins is 1075. The base Ford is 1075. The high output Ford is 1200. And this is 975.
So maybe they're looking to get more torque out of their engine. Except we've drag raced this truck, remember, against all the others. We have a video about this with trailers. And actually this Duramax puts its power down very effectively.
That's true.
So-
In that way, the interesting thing is these trucks act differently when they're linked up to trailers and loaded up than they do unladen. These are slightly more rev-happy engines than the Cummins especially.
Yeah. Well, Cummins is a straight 6. It has a different character, right, than the V8. So that's definitely something to consider. Let's jump inside, right?
Yeah, this is going to be the most notable difference between all of them. For one, this is the only one that's not a 6-seat configuration, the way that you see it here.
Yes. And the design of the interior is a little bit more premium with this, I want to say, faux trim.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's
I don't think that's wood.
real wood, but definitely the materials in general are much nicer. This bit of storage that's in the dash is actually covered, which in those more basic trims
open.
on those two trucks, it was open.
Yeah.
And we've got nicer materials all the way around.
So once again, like you said, we have a center console, not a seat in between us, but the interior is well laid out. We do have a trailer brake controller very prominently here, so this is very nice. And we looked up the gasoline towing number at about 17.3-ish, 17.4. So once again, on par with the other trucks. So yeah.
Yeah, still a column shift,
Yeah, actually all of these are going to column.
which is
And
awesome.
I appreciate that.
Especially in an HD truck.
It feels traditional. I mean, if you're a brand new driver, I guess you'll get used to it. But, I've been driving, I remember my 2002 Duramax that still had a column
Yeah.
shift. So it's a very traditional kind of a shifting experience.
And then how about any tech driver assistance?
So we do have cruise control, but not really adaptive in this model. We do have a heated seats and heated steering wheel and heated seats, which is kind of a premium feature.
Yep.
It is not available in some of the others.
And then what about any off-road features?
Let me take the camera really quick. I can show you some of my controls here. So, funny thing, so this does have 4 low and 4 high, just like the other trucks. But what GM offers that the other ones don't is an all-wheel drive feature.
Yeah.
But we weren't rich enough to buy it.
Yeah, and honestly, 4Auto, so I've had conversations with even other automotive journalists that have asked, why do you care about 4Auto or why do you care about a full-time 4-wheel drive system? I think it depends on where you live. Here in Colorado, even in the winter, we get some very warm days. I don't actually think it's 59 degrees
I don't
right
believe
now,
that.
but that's what the truck is saying.
Well, this truck was inside.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably interior too.
Maybe still getting adjusted, but we have some very warm days in the winter, so we'll get snow and then the snow will melt, but there's shady spots where it's still slick. So if you're in four-wheel drive and you're on a dry patch, you might get some crabbing. It's not going to drive as well.
Yeah.
But if you're in two-wheel drive, you might come up to a stoplight in the shade and just be spinning tires.
You're going to spin them.
So that 4Auto setting is a really nice thing to have around these parts. It's a feature I like.
Exactly, and I second that. I mean, totally hear you. Although these trucks have premium tires, and sometimes those tires do help out with some of those inconsistencies in the road condition. But I do love all-wheel drive, and I know it's hard to do, right? If it was easy, everybody would offer all-wheel drive type features in every truck, but it's difficult to do and still have it durable and a very tough system. This has digital screens throughout, so we do have a digital screen in the middle and in the gauge cluster. And the steering wheel is wrapped and quite nice. But dude, do we have a wall outlet?
We do, so we've got a more substantial outlet. We've got a USB-A and a USB-C in the dash and one in the console. So we have power. It's maybe not quite as accessible as it is on the other trucks. This one does have a wireless charger because, like we said, it's fancy. Oh, and look, Andre, we've got a 10 mil for all the times you lose your other ones.
Oh, yes, and we have a flashlight. I mean, this is our truck.
Ratcheting, too. That's sweet.
This is our truck, so we do have a few tools and
some chapstick.
And
is this community chapstick? Is that for everybody?
No.
No?
No, I hope not.
Is that yours?
I've never used it.
All right, well.
No. I'm actually not a chapstick guy.
No? Not even when your lips are chapped?
They're never chapped.
Never?
No.
I'm impressed by that. Just genetically, you're a superhero, basically.
Superhuman, I would say.
Yeah, that's not the best superpower, though, to be honest. It could be better. Yeah, we've got power rear glass, of course, because this truck is all fancy and nice.
Yeah, but you know what? I think GM could add some more auxiliary switches. I mean, sometimes they put them in other areas.
Yeah.
But I think Ford has a really great implementation of that.
They do that the best.
Very, very nice implementation.
You want to check out?
Yeah, let me jump in the back as we talk about pricing.
Yes. So if this truck was the specific truck that we were pretending that it is, which is to say a more basic gas truck, spec to be as similar to those two as possible, it would be $62,745 roundabout, and with some local incentives at Johnson Auto Plaza, for example, $59,596 is what you could get a truck like that for.
So this is a more basic LT, not a Trail Boss package, but still a 4x4 crew cab with a gas engine, which is almost priced identically to that Ford.
Yeah,
right?
Very similar to the Ford, still slightly more expensive than the Ram. How's the space in the back seat?
So you know what? It's similar to the Ford. So the legroom is similar. My headroom, I still have plenty of headroom. The floor has a small hump.
It's almost flat.
Almost flat. So I think maybe Ford does it the best as far as the floor is concerned of their truck. But look at this. This center console does have vents and also power outlets in it.
Yeah. So obviously it's nicer materials, more features in this truck because it's all fancy like.
Yes. And then, hold up. And then also the seats. Sorry, we have a tire iron here. I'm not sure who's changing tires. It's a split seat, and also you do, because this is a nicer trim, you do have a kind of a center console here in the back as well.
Yeah, so still some storage under the seats, which is always a great place to stash some hitches or whatever you might be carrying around with you. Should we talk about our hitches?
Yeah, let's do a hitch comparison really quick.
Andre, this is awesome because look at how accessible everything is. It's right there in front of you. It's not tucked way under the bumper.
Yeah, so this is a great way to do it because some manufacturers tuck these loops way under, which are hard to reach with those chain hooks. But this truck, probably the primary use case for these trucks is not to go trail driving.
No.
Right? So this is not a huge deal for it to extend a little bit further. How does Ford do this?
The Ford is still pretty accessible.
Pretty nice.
Although my thing with this style of hook for you to put your chains to is that with some chains, some hooks, especially like the breakaway, it can be
it's kind of a wide design.
Difficult to get around it because here on the Ford it's kind of a thick piece of metal.
Yeah. but it looks very tough. And they also curved this space. It wasn't curved before.
Yeah.
So I think they've improved it recently.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's, to your point, very tough.
I really appreciate it.
There's a lot of material.
So when you're pulling that 20,000 pounds
Yeah.
or 35,000 pounds on the dually, that hitch is going to be just fine.
Especially if you put a weigh safe in there.
Ooh, a little plug.
You like that plug?
And look at this. The Ram is actually similar to the GM.
Yeah.
But it's kind of tucked.
It's tucked a little bit. I would say it's still pretty accessible. Maybe getting your hitch pin in there is a little bit more of a reach, but
yeah.
I don't think so much so that it's a problem. If you are going to go down some pretty rugged roads or trails for whatever reason, this is probably going to be the most out of the way.
Yeah, so that could be a positive. So if you're buying a truck and you have to go down forest roads all the time or a very steep driveway, and you're always making those maneuvers.
I'd hate to meet the driveway that would make any of these hitches bottom out, but yeah, I'm not going to say it's impossible.
Well, look, because it's like more than the height of my knee.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of clearance.
Ultimately, if that's going to be a problem for you on these trucks, then the chin that's 11 inches off the ground on the Ford is going to be a bigger issue.
You have to remove that chin probably on the Ford.
Yeah, now, I also want to mention, too, if you want to get a hoodie with the same design as Andre and I, we didn't plan this.
But our boss made us.
Well, yeah. Well, they gave us...
eventually.
They gave us these free hoodies. We're not going to turn down free hoodies. But if you want a similar design, the same design, then you can check it out on our store.
Yeah, and it's linked here in the video. So if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this, obviously you know.
Yeah.
If you're listening to us, check out our YouTube channel. You could see our store right there.
Especially if you ever play these podcasts or videos and your wife or kids or something have to listen to it, you could get them one of these hoodies and remind them of all the good times.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've met some fans who come up to me and say, Andre, I really like what you guys do at TFL Truck. We love your tow tests. And then their spouse would be next to them, just shaking their head and like,
when do we leave?
I can't believe this. I can't believe this.
Yeah, I see this guy on the TV. Now we run into him at the airport.
Or they say, I recognize your voice because I hear it in the living room all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in your living room all the time?
Well, yeah, and your voice is recognizable. Mine, like the rest of me, is much more generic. So I don't get recognized off my voice.
I actually I asked the AI to do a cartoon image of myself.
Yeah.
Not because I love myself, but because I wanted an image of...
Yeah, you wanted to test out the feature and...
Sorry, Nathan and I. So this is Nathan and I driving a Jeep years ago, and ChatGPT did a cartoon of it, and I look like the most generic white guy.
Yeah, well, our producer Cole said you looked like the textbook image for...
like if you Googled a white dude, that image would show up.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so we both got that going for us.
So, but now at the end of this podcast, we've seen the features, we looked at the numbers.
Yep.
Of all these three trucks, we got to pick our favorite. Like if all right, how about this? If somebody came over and gave you $60,000 this minute, what would you buy? You're leaning against an F-250.
60 is a little tough because I would like this specifically for the 7.3. Probably
the Ford. Okay.
Possible to get a 7 into a 7.3 for 60. What do you think if I went for a single cab, long bed?
Ooh.
7.3? That could be cool.
You could be way under 60. But here's the thing. Manufacturers are becoming more and more clever, and that doesn't benefit the consumer, us, because they're packaging those engines with a lot of other features, right?
Stuff that you don't need.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't have an exact example for you this minute, but if you're on a configurator and you're configuring one of these trucks from every manufacturer, you click one button and it says, that'll be $10,000, please.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
You say, no, that was a mistake. Back up.
Back up.
Take it back.
Undo.
Yeah.
So you have to do that a lot, actually.
Yeah, but I think it would be possible for for 60 to get,
So you want
especially
that-
with some incentives to get into.
So you
a
want that
7.3.
large displacement engine then?
I do. If I'm shopping around for any of these, I want the biggest and the baddest. It's going to be the 7.3.
Okay.
But what about you?
So coming into this, I wasn't quite sure. Like I was kind of, I stayed up all night. I was wondering about, this episode.
You lost sleep over it.
I lost sleep over it.
Dang.
Because I was thinking, I would really appreciate what Chevy is doing and what GM is doing right there with their trucks. And by the way, we paid about $73 for that diesel.
Yeah.
That diesel's 2025 sticker price was around $77, and of course there's still incentives and some deals to be had, so we paid about $73 for it, but that engine is still like $10,000 or $11,000. So if you subtract that, it would be similar priced like we talked about.
That's true.
But this Ram Warlock kind of won my heart.
Did it?
A little bit, because here's the thing. Except the payload. Like, I would like to see a little bit more payload in one of these trucks. But this truck has, look at this, name brand shocks, Bilstein. It has Bilstein shocks. It has very beefy tires, quite good capability at a low price. What did you say, about under 58 grand?
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you combined, in my view, if you combine some of the off-road features of this truck with the price, that's kind of hard to beat, actually.
This Ford's got the most payload. What do you think of that?
Oh, but also, so personally speaking, I don't own a fifth wheel.
Yeah.
If I did, I would not pick the Ram, because we've damaged. Well, not damaged. We haven't damaged. I've heard and seen a lot of people with these Ram trucks with shorter beds damage their cabs while towing a
making too
fifth
tight
wheel.
of a turn.
So I don't own one personally, but
I'm wondering
yes,
if you're not the Andre I've worked with for the last couple of years, if you're an imposter, Andre, because you picked the truck with the shortest bed and the least payload.
I might be an imposter. Well, I was allergic to this Ford.
No, I'm just giving you grief. I also like the package that this Ram offers. I think it's a good
tough
setup
one.
all around. Yeah.
Like if you ask me, okay, if it was flipped and we were doing a comparison of more premium turbo diesel trucks, if all three of these heavy duties had turbo diesel engines, and that Ford diesel is hard to ignore.
Yeah, well,
That Ford diesel is just insane.
that was the funny thing, because not too long ago we talked about, for each of us, which compact truck we like the most: mid-size,
Yes.
full-size, and heavy duty.
Yes.
And I know
What did I say?
I picked the Cummins,
Yes, you did. And I picked the Power Stroke.
so here we are.
So I think we are imposters.
The roles have reversed.
So it just depends on what you're buying. So there's always this nuance, right? What kind of, and by the way, I also like the fact that this powertrain is the most experienced. This engine and this transmissions have been around for way longer than those engines and those transmissions and the others. So that's another reason why I like.
Yeah.
Even though there are known recalls on these trucks, but no truck is immune from recall.
No, especially not in this day and age. That's for sure.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. Did we surprise you? Did
we shock you?
Which truck would you pick?
Were you thunderstruck?
And also, are these trucks affordable enough?
I feel like I know the answer.
At 58 grand or 60 grand.
Yeah, but we're getting there. We're trying to pick out some trucks to film that are a little more reasonable.
But here's the thing. Even at 60 grand, if you buy one of these trucks and if you're actually doing work with them, they will return that investment pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely can.
Other than buying, a $100,000 truck. I know people do that for business because they're comfortable and they're nice. And if you have a successful business, you want to treat yourself.
And it's both your daily driver and something that you work with.
Yeah, so I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I think you can also be happy, at least I could be happy, with one of these more simple trucks as well.
I agree.
So, all right, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. And let us know what other comparisons you want to see. Do you want to see midsize again? Do you want to see dualies? Do you want to see electric trucks?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But let us know.
Sounds good.